Hi everyone, this is an updated video for the conversion of Impossible Project Polaroid Lab into a film bag for the Mamiya RB67. Updated because I have updated my kit. And I also developed some new techniques and kind of try to show you how to use this to do a better, smoother reassembly. And all kits received after May 1st or so, 2022, should be identical to the kit I'm showing you, but all the other kits can be assembled the same way. The difference is minor and it's irrelevant for the purpose of reassembly. Anyway, so this assumes that you have watched the previous video that shows you the disassembly of the Polaroid Lab, and you have in your hands this following components. Polaroid Lab, the inside, the back cover, plastic spacer, a dark slide, and you have removed the notches here, the eject button, and the eject board with the ribbon cable attached. All right, I'm gonna sneeze in a second. If I do, excuse me. Wow. Anyway, allergies are killing me. In addition to that, you have probably purchased, and that's why you're watching this, or you intend to purchase, a conversion kit for this, to turn this guy into a Polaroid bag for Mamiya RB67. And what you have received in the mail looks like this. A new top, and you should have 4 paws attached to it. I use stainless steel screws now. And on the inside of this, they should already be attached. They should already have 2 screws already attached. We're gonna have to take those out during the assembly so we can do the assembly and put it back on. Oh, sorry. So this guy, and you're gonna see there's a plastic lip. That's one of the changes I did. I kind of detached this from the rest, and it's gonna be glued on the lab. It used to hang on top unsightly and potentially generating light leaks. Okay. So these 2 guys, and you're probably gonna have a eject box, and it may come with the top. It's the top already attached, and there should be 2 screws here. And if it comes like that, you just have to remove those 2 and redo them. And this guy also has a side cover that just kind of unsnaps like this. Be careful not to damage these little hooks. If you do damage them, I can send you a spare part, but you know, it'd be nice not to damage them in the first place. It's gonna hook back on once you do the assembly. So we'll have the eject. This is the housing for the electronics. The top cover and the side cover. All right, this is an extra. And also some goodies in the shape of a film counter. Hooray! And new versions I'm making have a red plastic insert. Some have a black insert, and on the bottom there's silver coating, so the digits show off. And how you use this, it's a manual counter, but it goes from, when I send this, there's usually set a date, but surprise, they actually go up to 10. This is Roman 10. So it's 10, 9, 8, and they keep going. So for new Polaroid film pack, you start at 8 frames per pack. 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then when you get to X, you know you're done. So it is both X and done. Genius, eh? Yeah. tooting my own horn here. Anyway, so this is an updated film counter. Slicker, I suppose. And also, you may have received a kind reminder to check the dark slide. Both of these have double-sided tape on the bottom. You just peel and stick, and feel free to do that or not. I like this little guy. All right, so let's put this aside. They have no functional role in the assembly, and let's proceed. All right, the first thing we're gonna do. Oh, in your kit, you probably received a few spare screws. And some of these same screws may be already be attached to the side of the lab here. So, first steps is remove all screws. So remove these 4 guys if they're there, and remove those. Use a Phillips 00 screwdriver. That's all I use for this. Even though these screws are a little bigger, so probably a Phillips 0 screwdriver would also work. This is a Phillips 0 screwdriver. It should work as well. And give you a little more leverage actually. So this is it. Let's use this guy. Alright. We supposedly took all these 4 screws out, these 2 screws out, save them. I do send the labs with 1 spare of each, so in case you lose one, don't go crazy looking for it over a floor. You have a spare. And in the kit, you may have noticed the presence of a couple of these felt strips. Like that. The dark slide in these labs was not designed to fully cover. It covers the slot, but it wasn't designed to be taken out. And then if you take it out with the original lab or my kit, you may have light leaks. Not likely, but it's possible. Small, tiny light leaks. So in order to alleviate some of that problem, I use these 2 felt strips and I place them on the side of the lab as close as possible to this brass strip right here, 1 on each side, to kind of try to block any light that would seep in through the corners when you take the dark slide out. So okay, so this is 1 velvet strip. Peel the back and place it as close as possible to this. Don't go all the way, just kind of go maybe almost a 1/4 inch, but not quite, so like 5-6 millimeters. And then push it down to the side right here, kind of like that. Right? You blow my nose, sorry guys. I have allergies. Right, back. And let's attach the second velvet strip. So you only need 2. If you screw up one of them, I include 4, I think, in the kit, so it should be fine. Second one, kind of do the same thing on this side. Yeah, closer, a bit closer. I'm also an old man, so I should probably wear glasses with this, but oh well. No, not close enough. Come on. You can do this. That. That's close enough. Alright. like that. One like this, one like that. And this should be enough to block any unwanted light after you take out the dark side that will seep in through the sides. They were not already covered by this brass strip. Alright, so now we're actually kind of ready to attach the top. Now, before I attach the top, you notice what I just did. If this is hanging loose, I make sure, first of all, that this ribbon cable goes on the outside of this plastic tab, not on the inside. Sometimes it's cut like that. You don't want to be like that. Just take it out, put it on the outside, and push this in place just to temporarily. We're gonna take it out in a second. And also make sure that this is working properly. There's no snags, no nothing. If there are snags here, you may want to adjust the tension on this screw. It should not be the case, so don't touch it if you don't have to. So if it does this, snaps back in place, you're good. So push this here, turn the lab around. And next step is to use the plastic spacer that we took out in the previous video and place it on the top of the lab. Actually, just inspect it for a second and you're gonna see there's these channels on the side, and those channels should go on top of these ridges. And you place the plastic spacer down with this little recess towards the brass strip, and also with the felt pointing down, touching the brass strip. So you want to do this. And make sure when you push it down, it doesn't move, doesn't come out. I mean, it's gonna move. There's a little play here, but you don't want it to come out when you do that. Right. And now we're gonna slide in the new top on top of the spacers. And the way this works is that there's two little holes in here in the front of the Impossible Lab. And the top has two little plastic tabs. This guy, and this guy. Let me show them to you if it's not clear. That, I'm sorry, and these two. And they have to go inside here. So in order for that to happen, angle the top slightly. Make sure they go in there. You'll feel them. See, it doesn't come off now. And now lay this over the spacer. Now, if this is all done properly, if the spacer is still in place, you should look like this. So you see this lip protrudes here. You don't see any of the spacer protruding on this side. If you do, then you just take this off and then make sure that nothing moves. All right. And after you do that, press the new top into place. Flip this. And when you flip it, this should not come off. And also inspect the sides here. There should be a small, tiny gap, but not a big one. See that gap? That gap, not a gigantic one. And push this down slightly. Don't push all the way, just kind of push it down. You want to hold it in place. And what do we do now? We need to attach the inside of the lab to the new top using these long screws that we took out. And that after you receive your kit, you know, you're gonna see they're in there. So when it took out in the beginning of this video, okay. So these are replacement screws. We're not using the original screws, those two black screws from the lab, because they're too tiny and too short, and sometimes they just strip the plastic. And I usually start reassembling this on the long side. What I mean by long side is that there's more space on one side, less space on the other side. So do yourself a favor and start on the easy side. So use a pair of tweezers, insert this slightly in there. All right. Screw it in all the way to encounter. Once you encounter medium resistance, just don't go any further. You don't want to strip the plastic, and it's probably in all the way. All right, one. And now the second one. This could be a little trickier. So make sure that it goes into that hole with some pair of tweezers and hold it in there with the tweezers and use your screwdriver to complete the operation. And again, make sure it goes all the way, but don't over tighten this. Yeah, right. And now the next step is actually just to check on the friction of the dark slide. The first time you insert it, it's gonna push that brass strip up, and it hasn't been done, so maybe some adjustment to that. So let's see how this works. All right. Actually, it's a nice clean assembly. It goes in and out easily. Not too much force. You don't have to break your nails by taking it out. Awesome. All right, you can insert dark slide, and you can actually leave this in place. Awesome. All right. What is our next step? The next step is to attach the electronics to this ribbon cable, and in order to facilitate, you could do this in 2 steps. Take the cable out, and it's a little easier, but it also could lead to the reset of the electronics, and then you have to plug it in, and that will reset them again. We don't want to do that. So I developed kind of one-step process now. So first, take your electronic eject box, face the ribbon cable the blue side up, and insert the ribbon cable through that side opening and then through the bottom opening. Again, start with this up, insert it like this, and you can put it all the way up. Well, it's not gonna go all the way up. It's kind of gonna go to a kink in the cable, kind of leave it there. Well, you can actually, never mind. Put it all the way up. It's gonna look like that. And we're gonna insert this the same way with the blue side up. You can now take this out of here, out of the way, and insert it in the side slot of the Polaroid Lab. In here, insert to the blue side up. This up. That. And then insert it a little bit. And use a pair of tweezers. Where are they? Here they are. To guide it up. It's not gonna work with your fingers. You really need tweezers here. And of course, it's giving me a hard time right now because I'm shooting a video. Anyway, shouldn't get this. There you go. It's out. All right, pull it up. And now you can reconnect it to this white connector right here. If the blue side was up, now the blue side should be facing the outside of the lab, and that's the proper way to do the connection. It's not gonna work if you flip it. Did you hear that sound? That means that there's some mechanical reset actually in the front of the lab, so it's a good thing. Right, push this in place firmly. Push the connector in this little slot on the side in place. And we can reattach the cover. Now, in order to reattach the cover, we can simply slide it in, because the way it's designed. So the way you do that is you kind of put it maybe almost all the way there, and push the back down. And you want to make sure that when you slide it in from that position, that these little slots here, these little tabs, go underneath. Let me show you on a different lab. Go underneath these guys. So, like that, and then push it in. Oh, you heard that click? That is an awesome click. That's what you want. It means everything's in place. The back doesn't come off from the bottom or from the top, and there's a minimal gap or no gap around it. All right, so now we're on, and we can use two of those black screws that we have saved from the disassemble to secure the back to our new film back. Spare tweezers, you can use whatever you want. One, go back in, and with this new build, the hole should align pretty well. All right, let's finish the job. All right, so now that we have this, so there's a ribbon cable coming out that's already connected to the inside, it's already connected to the eject board. What I usually do, so the idea is that this housing is gonna pull on this ribbon cable slightly, just to kind of leave a little bit of slack on this side. The idea is that this side registers to a slot in here, so you can practice a bit. It should look like that. And it's not gonna simply, I designed not to just sit there, but I designed to be solidly attached to the top using some tape. So the electronic housing comes with tape already attached. You just have to peel. You just have to peel the backing. This could be annoying. There you go. Peeled. And then be careful not to, you want to hold it up, position it in place, kind of pull slightly on this cable, not too much. There you go. And now this shouldn't go anywhere unless you really hit it with something hard. So once that's in place, you can actually go ahead and insert the electronics box in here. Now, it doesn't go the way it is right now. We have to turn it around. And when you do that, the ribbon cable might buckle on the outside. So what I do, it's just slightly, and I say slightly because otherwise you're going to damage the ribbon cable. Slightly bend this a bit at the connection towards the inside. Just a little tap. Just a little. All right, and turn it around, and this should slide in this slot on the side of the housing. I'll show you a slot on the different housing that I had here. Slot right here. You see there's a little channel on the inside. And when it's assembled, the button should be in this corner. So towards the, if you look at the lab like that, towards you, should be facing up and to the right. All right. This is into place. The next step is there's a few ways of going right now, but I usually attach the side cover, and that I usually attach with a bit of glue besides those hooks, just kind of make sure that it stays in place. Super glue works, just use 4 little dabs. Don't overdo this. If you ever have to remove it, we don't want to break the whole thing. Four little tabs, and you're also gonna notice that then there's some awkwardly 3D printed inverted left and right on the bottom. You really want to put the right to the right and left to the left. I have no idea why I flipped them when I printed them, so but they stay like that. Right? So, and you want to hook this in starting from the left towards the right. So hook the right hook first, like that, and the left one should be snapping into place. And kind of squeeze this for however long your super glue says you should. Use like 60 seconds super glue. You don't want to stay here all night. And be careful not to glue your fingers. I think it's pretty safe. And now we can do a little test. Push the eject button. I think we did it. Well, we're gonna test it at the end with a pack of dummy film, but I think we're pretty on the right path. Right. So now, the next step I recommend before you attach the cover is to secure the bracket to the side using the included screws. And those should be... We probably took them off in the first step of the video. When I sent kits, they're already attached to the sides. So take one of them in, take one of them, put in a pair of tweezers, push in place a bit. I use bigger screws now, so you should use either Phillips 0 or Phillips 00 screwdriver, and screw this guy in. I mean, don't overdo it. Should be in place pretty well. And this, together with the tape, should secure the eject electronics housing pretty well. Again, these are plastic parts. Don't abuse these, don't drop it. I mean, if you break it, it's usually hard to... if something breaks inside the electronics, they're hard to repair. I'm happy to repair a kit that's been broken by accidental fall, or simply redo a conversion for you. But otherwise, please be careful. All right. And the last step is to attach the top cover. Now we're gonna need an eject button. And we're just gonna use the eject button we saved from the disassembly, this rubber one. I like them. So the way I usually do this, I just don't put the cover on. What I usually do is take the eject button and insert it in such way that it's how do I say this? So it should go out like this. It should go down like this. So the slot is on the left side. So hold this up in such way that the slot is on the left side, and then put the eject button in from the bottom. Flip it so it doesn't fall, and then kind of hold it in, bring it on top of this, of the eject box, and then gently hold it in place. Now if you do that, it should land in the proper place. You can do this several times, of course, till you get it right. All right, and now use 2 screws to secure this. Again, if you receive the kit and this is already attached, you just use the same screws. Sometimes they're different than the ones on the side. Sometimes they're the same. I try to do them the same way right now. All right, so 1, 2 screws. All right. Awesome. The last step in this new version of the kit, and I guess that's why I'm shooting the new version, is that there's a detached part of this that I cut during 3D printing. I separated these parts on purpose. So, and this completes the front of the lab. And it should pretty much snap in place. Shouldn't be a lot of room in there. And use your choice of adhesive for that. I use super glue, and I don't put a lot there, but just put a here, 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 here. Should be enough. And then kind of attach it between the lip of the Polaroid Lab and this new top, and you align the writing there. All right. There's no overhangs right now. This is the lava better profile, and ideally prevent any kind of light leaks. Alright, so you see there's a gap in there, so I don't think that should be a problem. Anyway, clean any super glue that's, if you see anything that's kind of glue remains on the top of this, kind of scrape them off with the blade, and it should be done. This is it. Well, this is it in terms of assembly. Let's kind of test this. So I'm gonna put a pack with dummy film and press the eject button, and that's what you want. This guy doesn't have a frog tongue. Anyway, most of the labs I'm working with have a frog tongue. I'll see what's going on with this guy. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. And I'm not gonna shoot more conversion videos, because this is probably the only different version at this point. So I may shoot if I make more camera systems. Anyway, bye bye.